All right, welcome everyone to SEO or SOS, Optimizing Your Search Results. We have Rob Stutzman from Score Boston with us today to present on this topic. And we're going to start with talking a little bit about Score, in case you're not familiar with who we are and what we do. So the biggest thing we do is really just about sharing information with the small business community. And we do that in a couple different ways. One of those is information on our website, and you can go to the score.org website and you can find a templates and resources section. There's a lot of, like I said, templates you can download on many topics, from business plans, marketing plans, cash flow, budget, you name it. There's tons of little templates you can download and use. Resources come in the form of blogs, articles. You can also find recorded webinars, lots of great information. If you haven't been through the website, it's worth the effort. The other way we share information is through workshops and webinars. We do have them posted on our website for you to register. Plus, we send out our newsletter up to a couple times a week. So watch for that to see what's coming up next. The most important thing that we do is mentoring. Our mentors are volunteers, and they come to Score with a variety of skill sets and experience that they want to share with the small business community. We're working with those that are trying to decide if small business is right for them, those that are in the actual planning phase, and those that are already in business. People come to us asking many different business topics, from, getting that business plan going to I'm trying to grow my business and how do I do that properly, to hiring employees, to work-life balance. I mean, any topic you can imagine. And Score is a national organization, so if we don't have somebody in our local chapter, we can always reach out and find somebody to help. Mentoring sessions are, the first one is going to be they want to get to know you. They want to know what your goals and challenges are, and they're going to work with you to put it together a plan for that. When you meet with one mentor, you're meeting with all our mentors. They work as a team. They confer with each other. They often will bring in other mentors to help along the process. So it's really a wonderful experience for our clients. To get a mentor, very easy. You can go to the score.org website and put in your zip code, and that will match you to the chapter nearest you. You will then be asked a couple questions. They will use that information to help match you to the proper mentor for you. We are recording today, and that recording will be posted on the score.org/Boston website. You can find it on the blue bar under local workshops and go to previously recorded. It should be there definitely by Monday for you to watch again if you should like to do that. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pull this down, and I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Rob.
Thank you very much, Teresa. And hello, everyone. Thank you for joining this morning, or this afternoon, I should say. Let me get myself set up here. Okay, I think we're ready to go. So welcome to SEO or SOS. The SEO is a hot topic nowadays, and if you own a website, chances are you've been contacted by some entity who says, hey, I can help you improve your SEO. And, it's a topic that can be frustrating. It can be confusing. It can be hard to figure out, where do I start? So hopefully our webinar today is going to take a little bit of the mystery out of SEO and give you some good tools to use it to move your business forward. So our agenda today, we're going to define SEO, which stands for search engine optimization. We're going to go over some fundamentals. We're going to go over some elements. We're going to take a look at a use case, and we're going to cover some next steps. And then if there's time left over, we'll have Q&A at the end. So a little bit about myself. I've been in business for over 40 years, and 30 of which were at Verizon, where I led global teams in marketing initiatives. When I retired from Verizon, I set up a private consulting firm that consults in digital marketing, called Stutz Consulting. And I also started volunteering with SCORE. And so at the SCORE Boston chapter, I am not only a mentor, but I'm also the marketing and social media chair. And you can reach me via email with my email address there. And if you want to get a little bit more background, get the latest of what's going on, I'm on LinkedIn as well and would love to connect with you. So now to know a little bit more about myself, I'd like to get to know a little bit more about you. So Teresa's going to bring up a survey. And the first question is going to be, what does your business sell? And the second question is going to be, who manages your website? So Teresa, if you can go ahead and bring up that survey, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, sorry, they changed where it was located again, so I had to find it on the Zoom bar, but there you go.
So why don't you go ahead and give us your responses, and when we get a nice quorum, we'll close down the polling. All right, thank you very much, Teresa. Okay, so what does your business sell? Nice representation from people in the services business. SEO is very important for people in the service. It's important for everybody, but it's important for people within the services business to learn how to set it up properly. Some good representation from hard goods out there. And for those that checked off other, put it in the chat. I'd love to know what it is that you're selling. So feel free to put it in the chat. Who manages your website? Oh, majority of you manage all aspects of your website yourself. So kudos to you for taking that on and being responsible for that. A lot of you use a website platform. I currently use a website platform. The platform I use is GoDaddy, but there are a lot of them out there. And some of you use a website developer. But the majority of you use or do it yourself and manage it yourself. Very good. Okay, so SEO defined. SEO is about search engines, and it's about optimizing the search engine. You might have heard about another acronym out there called SEM, which stands for search engine marketing. SEM is for those that are looking to put up paid advertising, and it's how to optimize their ads primarily within Google. Search engine optimization, however, is for those who want to improve the generic searches that people are making and get them to your site. So optimization in and of itself is the action of making the best or most effective use of a situation or a resource. In this case, that resource are search engines. It's the practice of increasing not only the quantity, but the quality of traffic that come to your website for people that are doing organic searches out on the search engines. So you not only want to increase the number, you want people that are kind of pre-qualified so that when they reach your website, you can have a very direct conversation with them about their issues and how you can solve their issues. It involves understanding what people are searching for online, the answers they're seeking, the words they're using, and the type of content that they wish to consume. There's a lot of research that goes into SEO and implementing SEO effectively. But when you understand and implement SEO strategies, you can improve your site's visibility on search engine results, which are otherwise known as SERPs, and attract a targeted audience. So why is SEO so important? Well, it's big and it's getting bigger. You can see from this graph here, which only goes through 2021, how exponentially SEO has grown and how people are making money off of helping other people improve their SEO results. You know, $256 billion in 2021 alone. There are over 8.5 billion searches per day worldwide. And Google, not surprisingly, Google is the king of search with over 90% market share. And what's interesting is they're not only king in desktop searching, but they're also king in mobile searches. So people that are searching for content using their mobile devices are using Google to find websites out there and to find information. Another interesting statistic, organic clicks accounted for over 45% of all search result clicks. People often think, you know, that it must be ads, must be the way to go. If I'm not getting results from the search engines and people aren't finding me, I guess I have to take out an advertising. Well, paid clicks only account for 1.8% of the overall searches that are going on out there. So, you know, organic clicks lead the way for people finding their way to your website. Some other statistics, the average internet user conducts 3 to 4 searches per day on search engines, and 26% of searches ended in no clicks. And less than 1% of users get to the second page of search results. So it's all about getting your listing on that first page, because people drop off precipitously beyond that first page. The first organic result in the search results page has an average click-through rate of 27.6%. So not only do you want to be on the page, you want to be at the top of the page if you can. Now, the way the Google search pages are structured, you have advertising that gets listed first. You have location information listed to the right, and then below the advertising, you have the organic searches. So we're talking about having your listing at the top of that second section of a search result window. You know, algorithms are you know, all over the place today. They're on social media, they're on websites, you know, not surprisingly that they're in search engines. You know, Google's algorithm has over 200 factors associated with it. And in the past 5 years, they've done approximately 36 major algorithm updates, 14.1% of all keywords are phrased as a question. We often think that, you know, by keyword, if I just put a word or a popular word, that may help. Actually, phrases, people are putting searches into search windows in the form of questions and phrases. And it's SEO is important because it builds credibility of your location. And we're going to talk a little bit about how to build that credibility. And web owners say, you know, their biggest challenges are lack of resources and strategy issues. And as I've talked with clients, particularly about this particular subject, you know, they just find that they don't understand it and they don't have the time to try to understand it. So we're going to try to give you some base level knowledge of SEO. So how does search engines work? You know, search engines like Google, and there's also Bing and Yahoo, they use bots, and the bots crawl over pages on the web, and they go from site to site and they collect information about those pages and they put them into an index. And the indexing is key to search engines. And the reason Google is far and away the leader is because their indexing capability is vast and it's very extremely efficient. Algorithms then analyze pages in the index and they consider hundreds of ranking factors or signals to determine the order pages should appear in the search results for a given category. All right, we're gonna, I want to just touch base on keyword research. Keyword research is the process of finding and analyzing actual search terms that people enter into the search engines. And the insight that you gain from these actual search terms can help inform content strategy as well as your larger marketing strategy. So, and tools like Google Keyword Planner, which is free, as well as SEMrush and Ahrefs, which are paid, can assist you in finding keywords that are relevant to your business and understanding the search volume and the competition level.
Hey, Rob, can you go back to your graph for just a few seconds? Somebody wants to see it again. And then when you say pages on the web, do you mean websites?
Correct. Pages on the web means all of the websites across the web.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, we don't refer to it very often any longer, but when the internet first rolled out, the buzz was, you have to be on the World Wide Web, because the internet was a web of connected computers. So when we say the web, what we're referring to is the World Wide Web of all computers that have websites on them.
Okay, thank you.
You know which graph we need to go back to?
Well, I'm going to say to the person that posted that, if we did not go back to the graph that you wanted to see, let us know. So we'll have to move forward.
Yeah, this was the first one. This was the second. This was the third. And on we go. Okay. The most searched keywords on the web today, when people go into search engines, YouTube at the top. So it's no wonder that Google went out and purchased YouTube way back when. And so Google and YouTube are the #1 and #2 websites on the internet today. Facebook, very popular. WhatsApp shows the international aspect of the World Wide Web and how, we use a lot of Facebook within the US. People internationally use WhatsApp, particularly in Asia will use WhatsApp. And also kind of funny that people are looking for information on the weather, as well as translating information as well. So how do, we talked about this, sorry. So let's talk about some elements of SEO. The first element is what's called on-page SEO. It involves optimizing the individual web pages in order to rank higher and earn more relevant traffic in search engines. So it's what you're doing within your site to optimize your web pages for search engines. It includes, optimizing the content as well as the HTML, which stands for hypertext markup language. It's the code that people use to present web pages. And there's things like title tags and meta descriptions and header tags and images. And this is about as technical as this webinar is going to get. If you understand this kind of capability, then you probably have a good knowledge of how you can optimize that. At least you can code it. For others that are using platforms out there, your platform provider very often has SEO tools built within it, makes it very easy to use and optimize your website on their platform. And for those that are using website developers out there, certainly they understand this, and you'll hopefully coming out of this webinar will have a little bit more knowledge, a little bit more language, so you can talk a little bit more intelligently and convey what it is you need the website developer to do. High quality, relevant content is key to a successful on-page SEO strategy. So, it's looking at your content, making sure that it's relevant, not relevant to you. It has to be relevant to users out there. And that's one of the harder aspects of SEO. Off-page SEO. Off-page SEO refers to actions taken outside of your website to impact your rankings within search engine results pages. It primarily involves building backlinks, which are links from other websites to your website, When you do that, when people come to your site from another website, that they act as votes. This is within the algorithm that Google is using and the other search engines are using. They act as votes. They give you credibility. They say, oh, they came from this site. And if the bigger and more popular the site, the better the credibility when you're able to link with them. And it's a signal to the search engines and the algorithms that there's relevance to your content. Other off-page SEO tactics, they include social media marketing and influencer marketing. Don't overlook the impact of social media and how it impacts your website. Make sure you have a strategy not only within your website, not only outside of your website, but also inclusive of social media. And let me add as well, if you're using an email platform such as Constant Contact or MailChimp, think about how SEO can impact that platform and get people to your site through your email marketing efforts. Technically, SEO, it's talking about optimizing the technical aspects of a website to improve its ranking. And it's optimizing the website structure, the speed, and mobile friendliness. Today, there's about as many people that come to websites via their mobile devices as come to the website via desktop. So making sure your website is mobile friendly is going to help you, and it's going to improve the potential for people to find your site on their mobile device. Local SEO. Local SEO is a strategy that targets boosting your business's visibility locally. It's about optimizing your Google business profile. If you don't have a Google business profile yet, build one. Create a Google business profile out there. All you need to do is provide the location of your business. Now, if you're working out of your house and you think, well, I don't want people driving up to my house and knocking on my door, you're going to have to get creative then as to what address can you come up with that you can put in there in order to build a Google business profile. But if you don't have one, if you don't have an address, you're going to find it very difficult to build a Google business profile. Employ keywords, as we talked about, within the Google business profile. Create relevant content for customers. The Google business profile is just another platform that people can get to your website by. And remember, that's the second part of a search engine result that people see. They see, the paid advertising first. They see the Google location information second. They see the organic searches third. Searches for Open Now Near Me have grown globally by over 400% year over year. It's the difference of putting in restaurants versus restaurants now near me or restaurants open near me. The more information that somebody puts into a search engine, the better result that they're going to get. Once you've set up your Google business profile, keep it updated, just like you do your social media platforms. Google business profiles, another platform to keep updated. Focus on industry relevant keywords. If you have particular buzzwords within your industry, focus on getting those into your website. So when people put in those buzzwords, you're going to rank higher. Include keyword modifiers, and keyword modifiers are where you put some additional words around a keyword to give it a little bit more definition. So by creating that keyword modifier, again, the more people put in that type of information, the chances are they're going to find you. Check out your competitors. Google a term that of a competitor within your industry, or your industry, Google a term or a phrase within your industry, put it in a search engine, see what comes up, and take a look at the websites of the people that come up high, ranked high in the search result. Now, you're not going to see the coding they're using on the back end, but you're going to see some of the keywords they might be using on their web pages, on their homepage. And so learn from your competitors as a result. And use, I'm sorry, I'm a little headed here. And use, Google has, for people that want to do advertising, they have a keyword planner. Now, it's for people that want to do advertising, but you can use the keyword planner even if you don't plan on advertising. They're going to talk about, how you can do ads through them, but you can use the keyword planner to just come up with some ideas and understand what is popular out there. Okay. All right, I want to talk about a use case. There was, in 2015, there was a fellow by the name of Brian Dean. He was deep into the topic of SEO, and he had an SEO website. And he came up with a methodology where he not only increased his website traffic 652% in 7 days, but the same approach helped his new posts hit the #1 spot in Google within weeks. So in the world of SEO, Brian Dean is a legend, and he created a technique that he calls the skyscraper technique. The first step is to find relevant content that exists out there that have lots of backlinks, and then improve on it and create something better. And then ask those linking to the original piece to link to you because you've got superior content instead. And so, it's a building war, and it's talking. What you want to do is you want to be the tallest skyscraper in your industry, so that you come up first in search engines. So the first thing is to identify user intent, because user intent plus SEO equates to higher rankings. So the way you can identify user content or intent is to conduct a search, analyze what comes up on the first page, look at the search engine results, and then sit back and say, what kind of intent do these results satisfy? Google wants happy users. And so they want to make sure they're delivering relevant content, and they want to make sure they're delivering up-to-date content. So the more you can understand the user's intent and build that around your website, the more likely people are going to find you. And then satisfy user intent. You may have some pages within your website that are dead weight pages. And one kind of dead weight page is something that just has so much content on it that people just roll their eyes and they click away from it because it's just too much content to consume on the page. You may have some dead weight pages that just don't get any traffic at all. So if they're not getting any traffic at all, why are they on your website? The more lean you can make your website, the better you're going to be, and more Google is going to choose your site over another site. Set up the Google Search Console. The Search Console lets you go in and put in keywords. And it'll come back and it will show you the popularity of those particular keywords. And then what you want to do is include that keyword in your URL. If you can. And then, as we talked about, you want to analyze the first page. You can also discover long tail keywords with a tool called Google Suggest. And what we talked about was, it's the difference between putting in a search looking for restaurants and putting in a search, restaurants near me. The more you can put in popular phrases versus popular words, the better, more effective your SEO strategy is going to be. Identify crawl errors. This can be a little bit difficult to do for those that are on platforms because the providers don't often, it's a little more technical on their end to do this. But people that are using website developers, people that manage their own websites, probably have access to tools to look at the crawl, if there are crawl errors out there, if the search engines are having a hard time finding you when they do their crawling. Build powerful backlinks. You could do that with guest posting. You could create a particular article, and if that article is very popular with another site, instead of just giving the other site your article, say, here's my article you can post on your site, but when they click on it, it comes to your site. That's a backlink. That's where somebody comes into your site from another site, and they're reading your content. So that pushes you up the algorithm within Google's to make it better, more apt for you to be found when people are searching. Include the current year to convey that your content is up to date. This is one of the techniques that Brian Dean used. It was amazing. He said, when I put in, it was back in, I think he did it in 2018, when I put 2018 in my website, suddenly I was climbing up the search results because people were looking for up-to-date information. Google wanted to deliver up-to-date information. If you can, improve your mobile site page speed. As you know, people are highly impatient out there, and those coming in from mobile devices are usually on the go. And so if you have a slow page that slow in building, people are going to click away. And then optimize for user experience signals. Take an inventory of your website and go through it page by page, looking at it from the perspective of the user. If a user comes in, or better yet, get a friend of yours or a colleague to walk with you and to say, does this make sense? Is this working? Does this link working properly? Do I have too much content? Do I have too little content? What is the user experience that people are having? And if your page is too dense, like the page we have shown here, Google will quickly downrank you. So you don't want to have an encyclopedic site out there that's so dense in information that not only is Google going to downrank you, but people are just going to look at it and click away because there's just too much information to consume on the page. Some tips and best practices. Use a keyword research tool to find some new keywords. Try them out in a search. Research the competitors that come up. Try and figure out, user intent. Use the current year to appear up to date. Use Google Analytics to gauge effectiveness. And just realize that Google's #1 goal is happy users. So Google is your best friend. The more you help them be successful, the more they're going to help you be successful. Work with your website provider, and above all, experiment, experiment, experiment. So that is all I have for my prepared statements. But let me turn it over to Teresa and see if there are any questions that have come in.
Yeah, we have some very good questions. Okay. I'm trying to tell my nonprofit that websites used to be informational, but now websites are a marketing tool. Our first website was 14 years ago, and I want to update it to draw people in. Am I off on that? What do you think?
Oh, I don't think you're off at all. When you think about where the internet came from, it came out of academia, and it was a research tool. People used it for research. They wanted to get access to abstracts and bibliographic information. But that's changed. E-commerce changed it a lot. E-commerce said people suddenly realized I could buy things over the internet, and so the marketers came in and they have changed the internet vastly to be a marketing tool. Now for a nonprofit, they want to convey their information, but they also need to be cognizant of their users out there and what is it that their users are looking for. And if their users are predominantly looking for information, then keep it an informational site. But remember that your website is your brochure. It's your electronic brochure. So if you can be a little more lean on it, the better.
How frequently should the SEO elements be visited?
I would say, well, first of all, do your research on just searching and see, where is it that I'm popping up? If I put in a particular phrase, where do I end up? Am I on page 10? Am I on page 15? Where do I end up? And then, just start experimenting. It's very straightforward, particularly for those managing their own websites or those that are on platforms out there. It's very easy to update content, and you could just change titles. You could change, paragraph headings to put in keywords. Study look at who's on page 1. Take a look at their site and say, what is it about this site that this user that Google delivered this at the top of the list? And you may pick up on some keywords or phrases that you didn't realize before and put them in your website.
Can you give it?
Then use Google Analytics to see how you're doing.
Can you give an example of how to include the gear on your website?
Sure. If you have a blog out there, you could put out a blog or an article on the top 10 trends in e-commerce in 2024. That's the title of the blog. The search engines will pick up on that. They'll see the 2024 and they'll say, oh, this is good. If you're selling hard goods, you could put something out there, new for 2024, or new sale happening. It ends, first quarter of 2024 or something like that. That will then cue the algorithms to say, okay, because the algorithms will be looking for things with 2024 in it.
Our business website has several content-rich pages that meet the definition of deadweight pages. They are up because at times we want to direct people to that content, and we provide direct links to those pages. Would the existence of those pages somehow diminish SEO success?
It's a potential that it is, because Google will look at it as somewhat of a cluttered website. What you could do, you could potentially link them to a different website where you keep that information where it isn't where it isn't as critical that they find the location, because you'll have the location that you can give them. You'll have the link within your website that says, if you want the real detailed information, click on this link. And instead of, they're just going to click to a different website and get the information that they need. And that will keep your website lean for Google when it does its web crawling.
Is updating products on your website important to do daily or weekly? Does it matter?
It matters for those that visit your website regularly. But if you're getting, mostly new users coming into your website, update it when you feel it's necessary to update it, but don't necessarily think that, when you make a change, people are going to see it because you're getting new users all the time. So, but if you get a lot of return users, a lot of regular customers, yeah, and what's a good cadence? It all depends on your capacity and what you have to devote to it. But if you can keep it, if you could update it once a month or once a quarter, that should suffice. I wouldn't, unless you have a very dynamic industry. I don't know that updating it once a day or once a week really gets you any further advantage than if you did it once a month.
So I have two questions that were submitted. This is in relation to the person that had the content-rich pages that could be damaging their SEO. One suggested listing it as a blog instead, and somebody else said, what about putting them in as a PDF that can be downloaded? Would both of those be better alternatives to just having them be web pages?
Yes, they would. And that's a great suggestion. That's a great suggestion.
What would you recommend to do when searching my business results in did you mean search? In order to find my website, the users would need to search in the full boston.pierce.com to find us. I'm not sure.
Boy, could you ask that one again?
Yeah, I'm not sure I understood it as I read it. What would you recommend to do when searching my business results in a quote, did you mean ... quote, search? In order to find my website, the user would need to search in the full bostonpeers.com to find us.
Okay,
Must have been
I
something you
think I
said.
understand the question, and if not, feel free to put a clarifying question in. But it's in the arena of putting in information into the search engine to find myself, and there's some different techniques you can use within search engines to isolate the search term that you're putting in, and one of those is putting the term something in quotes to have the search engines say, look for this very specific phrase to see if that ranks you any higher. I think that's the question.
How do you think SEO will change in the coming years? There are so many news articles about how Google search results are getting worse, and I wonder how to stay on top of changes.
Yeah, the big thing overshadowing SEO and everything these days is artificial intelligence. Google has invested deeply into artificial intelligence. In fact, they just laid off thousands of workers because they brought in artificial intelligence into the company, and that's going to impact your search experience. It's going to be more intelligent. It's going to infer some things that you're putting in to your search and deliver back results, more results. Google they are getting the pressure from people out there that, when I put stuff in, I look at the upper left-hand corner and it's 1.7 million results come back. There's no way I'm going to review 1.7 million results, and only a fraction of people even go from page 1 to page 2. So the more you understand artificial intelligence, the more you understand, you could actually use a tool like ChatGPT to come up with some keywords. You could say, what are some keywords in my industry? Put your industry in there, and it'll deliver back some suggestions for SEO. Say very specifically, I'm looking for SEO keyword research words in my industry, and it'll come back with some suggestions and try them out.
Okay, I have a question and I'm going to expand on it a little bit. And then I have my own little cute analogy. And then I'm sure Rob will have more to add. What is the difference between a website, a host, and I'm going to add a domain name? and a domain name is like your address. The host is the apartment building owner that you rent a space from, and your website is you or your furniture living in that apartment. So that kind of gives you an idea what the three parts are. And if Rob wants to expand on that, you're welcome to.
That was a wonderful description. Thank you. Yeah, I think, you've got people who are do-it-yourselfers. And they're the people that will have a server in their basement. They'll have an internet connection. They have the technical savvy and they build their website and they put their website out on the internet. Then you have people that say, I don't have that technical savvy. Their website website provider, not website provider, website platforms that are out there, like GoDaddy or Wix or Shopify, where they put a lot of the technical stuff into very intuitive, it takes a little bit of education, but not a lot of education. And they put templates out there. And then you can, as long as you follow their templates, they will, optimize your website just because they want a happy customer. And then there are website developers. There are people out there that say, we'll find you a domain name, we'll find you a place to host it up in the cloud. And then if you need any, we'll build the website for you. And then when you have any changes, just shoot us something. And we'll make a change for you. They end up being the most expensive option. And a lot of people may start with them, but then eventually they'll move into a platform because they just, it's less expensive to be on a platform than it is to be working with a website developer. And then, again, for those that are very technically savvy, they very often just bring it into their houses and their homes, their offices, and just do it themselves.
Do having videos on your website help with SEO?
Oh, you could probably answer this one, Teresa. We've got a ton of webinars on our website, on the SCORE website that goes over SEO.
Any strategies on how to get more backlinks?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's also akin to people that says, how do I get an influence marketer to endorse my product? First of all, target the entity that you want to get a backlink established with. Understand their website, understand how their website is laid out, understand where you think you might have a fit, and then come up with a value proposition to say, I think it would benefit your users, to see this information that I'm able to provide. How about putting a link into your site, which links them over to my site? And then just, it's asking people. Now, the bigger the entity, the more bureaucratic things are going to be. And the longer it's going to take for them to come up with a decision. But if you have smaller entities, small to medium-sized entities out there that are very popular, a lot of them welcome the ability, if it enhances the user experience on their site, they will welcome it. And it's very easy to do. It's just establishing a link on their site that says, if you want additional information, click here. And when they click, they go over to your site and they get information that way.
Is SEO something that somebody can do on their own, or should they hire someone?
Well, again, it depends on what kind of platform you're on. If you are, if you're doing it yourself, you might have somebody help you with the SEO just to kind of sharpen your skills, just to say, I think I've taken this about as far as my knowledge level is with SEO. You might have a consultation with them about how they can, improve your SEO. There's, everybody today is offering free SEO audits. And what they do is they come in and they look at your site, and then they come back and say, you know, this is where your site could use improvement. And oh, by the way, I hope you hire me, and this is my price. And you know, so it's just there's a lot of people. I get anywhere from 5 to 10 people a week telling me, you know, they can improve my SEO. And if you're on a website platform, it's a little more difficult because they've kind of done that on your behalf. They've gone out, they've already determined the best practices and the best way to improve on SEO. So you really can't modify the methodologies that they've already put into their platform. And then if you're using a website developer, they gladly will work with you. They will probably be the best user experience for you because they'll take the time to educate you and work with you, but they're going to be the most expensive option as well.
Bing search function now incorporates AI. Are there any search optimization techniques specific to AI assisted search?
I'm sorry, you're gonna have to ask that one again.
Yeah, sure. Bing search function now incorporates AI. Are there any search optimization techniques specific to AI assisted searches?
Oh, that's a great question. You know, the Bing's AI, what it's really trying to do is it's trying to do two things. One is it's trying to give you kind of text to text, like you put in a query, or it's called a prompt. You put in a prompt and you say, you know, give me back produce a document that talks about the details of SEO, and it'll come back and it'll give you, you know, a document, you know, information, text that tries to answer what the prompt is. They also try to say, I'll go even over and above that. In addition to giving you text, I'll give you links. I'll give you searches where you can go. You know, Bing has been losing the search wars to Google for decades. Artificial intelligence has provided the opportunity for Bing to get, or for Microsoft to get back some lost market share. So they are incorporating artificial intelligence into their search capability to want to differentiate themselves from a Google search. You know, now Google has Bard, that is their AI implementation. And, you know, they are not as sophisticated as Bing is. Bing is actually a little ahead of the game. And they've, as you mentioned, they've actually incorporated the Bing AI search within the Microsoft Edge browser. But you can imagine Google, you know, it's the search engine wars that are going on out there. It's the arms escalation. Everybody's trying to outdo each other. But you know, Microsoft's, even if they just grab a teeny part of market share, that means, you know, millions of more users that are seeing the Microsoft brand.
Are there videos on creating videos for products on the website on SCORE? So there's not it's not a yes, no answer. So I'm going to say not on the Boston website on that specific topic. There could be on nationals. I don't know. But that said, some of those videos for your products should be interlinked into your social media. So yes, there are videos for that. And then if Rob wants to add more to that.
No, I think that you nailed it. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I think that's it. That covered all the questions. So thank you everyone for joining. Thank you for all the fantastic questions you submitted. I definitely took our conversation further. And thanks, Rob, for putting the time in to share. Thank you.
Thank you. See you, everybody.